Away from the politics and personalities, it's on the pastures that what's decided in Westminster and Brussels could reverberate for entire lifetimes. Colin is the fourth generation of his family to run this farm. Facing a no-deal Brexit, he's not sure there'll be a fifth.
I'm completely feel let down. It's quite devastating, the impact it could have on us. It's tariffs, with 48% tariffs, which makes us completely unviable. You know, 90% of our exports from Wales go to Europe, and the 30%, you know, 30% of our production, and you can't take a hit on a third.
Colin always thought, or hoped, no deal was unthinkable. But as of right now, it's entirely possible. The Prime Minister warning Britain needs to prepare for just that. And today he reiterated why, and why he at least doesn't seem that worried about it.
The issue at the moment is that the talks in Brussels are stymied, deadlocked, because they want to keep us locked into a system by which every time they change their laws, we have to change our laws. And we don't think that's a brilliant idea. They also want a huge amount of our fish and control over, and they're not giving us proper control over our UK fisheries. So the talks are currently deadlocked. But under any view, the UK and the North East will prosper mightily.
So there is a bright no-deal future, says the Prime Minister, and the EU wants to shackle the UK to their laws. Not quite so, said the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen today. Potentially a little wiggle room ahead of talks this weekend.
This is not to say that we would require the UK to follow us every time we decide to raise our level of ambition, for example, in the environmental field. They would remain free, sovereign, if you wish, to decide what they want to do. We would simply adapt the conditions for access to our market accordingly, the decision of the United Kingdom, and this would apply vice versa.
Deal or no deal, come January 1st, change is coming. And this is where it could be felt sharpest, the M20 in Kent. That concrete barrier on the road's edge will tonight be used to close off lanes and line up lorries waiting to get to Dover, a live test of what may be needed. And this is what happened when the French did their live test for border controls a week ago. Queues for 5 miles. No-deal Brexit will have a significant impact on our ability to transport goods to and from the EU. And that's the assessment by a Cabinet Office department called the Border and Protocol Delivery Group. Channel 4 News has obtained this draft document marked official, sensitive, which they produced 3 weeks ago. A document which sets out a reasonable worst-case scenario of what can be expected come January 1st. A scenario that includes 40 to 70% of trucks travelling to the EU might not be ready for new border controls, so turning up with the wrong paperwork, and ultimately saying that we could see maximum queues of 7,000 port-bound trucks in Kent and associated maximum delays of up to 2 days. The Cabinet Office said today that this was responsible planning, adding, quote, "This is not a forecast or prediction of what will happen, but rather a stretching scenario." Not enough, though, to alleviate the fears of Rob Hollyman, who owns a haulage firm. Are you actually worried?
Good Lord, yes. Yes, very worried. All our prices, as every other transport operator, Young's transport prices are based on how many trips you do in a week. So if currently we're doing 4 trips out to Belgium per truck, if the delays mean that we're now only doing 2 or 3, then our price structuring has to be adjusted to that 2 or 3.
Talks continue until this Sunday, and back on the farm, Colin hopes perhaps even longer.
I'm not expecting too much from Sunday, but right up until midnight on the 31st, there's a chance. And I'm still optimistic that there will be a deal.
There's still hope in Wales tonight, more so maybe than in Westminster or Brussels.
So exactly what will change if we leave the EU without a trade deal on the 31st of December?
A hit to the economy is forecast. The Office for Budgetary Responsibility predicts UK GDP will drop by 2% next year and could damage the economy for years to come. There'll be higher prices passed on to shoppers, as products coming in from the EU will be subject to tariffs. UK-made goods like meat and dairy products will become more expensive in the EU, as they too are subject to tariffs. Regardless of whether there is or isn't a deal, travelling to mainland Europe for business or pleasure is likely to feel very different. Automatic health cover for British visitors will no longer exist. Drivers may require international permits and additional insurance documents. It could become far more complicated to take pets on holiday, with them requiring a travel certificate and extra jabs, a process which can take 4 months per journey. As we've heard, for hauliers, there are expected to be border delays caused by more paperwork, such as customs declarations and other checks like veterinary inspections for meat and livestock. And goods from Great Britain will need to be checked before entering Northern Ireland.
Well, let's go live to Paul McNamara, who is in Westminster for us. Paul, we've had these crunch talks before. Come Sunday night, will we know if there's a deal or not?
Well, quite frankly, Jackie, probably not. We have been marched up this hill before. Now, 2 days ago, Ursula von der Leyen said, quote, "We will come to a decision by the end of the weekend." But a senior number 10 source said that the PM and Ursula von der Leyen agreed that by Sunday a firm decision should be taken about the future of the talks. So that's about talks, whether or not they should carry on, whether or not, as opposed to whether or not there is a deal in place. So we could have a deal announced. That's unlikely. We could have both sides saying we are going full steam ahead with no deal prep. But even if they do that, there is still a couple of weeks in which they can reach a deal before December 31st. As one EU ambassador said to me a couple of days ago, truth is we don't want to be working over Christmas. We prefer not to. But if we have to log in and vote on a deal on December 28th, we probably will do. What's interesting, though, is that the rhetoric now is hotting up. And I'll give you one example about this. A few days ago, I got in touch with sources at the Ministry of Defence saying, come on, you guys must be putting in preparation for what happens come January 1st if there's no deal. And they said to me, quite frankly, we're not getting involved in these preparations, we're staying out of it. Now, this afternoon, they got back in touch with me saying, actually, we have got some details for you. We've got 14,000 personnel who are getting ready to step in if needed. We've got 4 offshore patrol vessels. Now, these are boats that, let's say, if there was a dispute with French fishermen or if boats were blocking the ports to Dover, these boats would now step in. Another source at the MOD said to me about these boats, make no doubt, these are warships that are capable, these are warships that have tracked Russian ships through British waters. So these might just be pragmatic preparations just in case, or it could be politics or posturing. Quite possibly it's both, but the rhetoric is mounting.